Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Are you looking for sports merchandise for your favorite teams, apparel, jerseys, headwear, hard goods, and looking to be involved with NASCAR? Fanatics is your one-stop shop. Fanatics is partnered up with all major professional sports leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiates and pro teams. Join them now at Fanatics. And if you use the link down below in the description, you'll be able to help out the Doghouse Racing League. While using that link, all commissions go to the Doghouse Racing League, which helps fund prizes and goods for the drivers out on track. Thank you so much for Fanatics, and enjoy the show! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. First race for Season 2, the 2024 season. The drivers got to have their fun last week at Atlanta for the fundraising race, but tonight, points matter. And as well, the setups are completely open to the drivers' likings. And they get to test their skills at such a unique track at the Brickyard 180 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Zach Hall. And Zach, a brand new season, but a lot of excitement for this season. A lot of new names that we know can be quick, but also some old names that have shown that they are going to be fast, and we're excited to see how this season is going to be coming together. But it all starts here at Indy.
That's for sure, Sam. It all starts here at Indy. What a wild place to start it all out. The famed Brickyard. It's going to be quite the show, I think, especially for us because, you know, when it comes to this league, we always talk about the open setups. That's what this league's biggest building base is, in my opinion, on it is everybody here is on their own unique setup, building their setups throughout the week, preparing for these races, and to come to a place like the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is such a unique track to any place we go. 2.5 miles in length, 4 flat, really flat, high-speed corners that are really going to test how you really want to run your car. Do you want to make sure it's fast through the corners? But you got these long straightaways to worry about too. If you make your car too fast through the corners, it's going to be slower on the straights. So it's kind of those that game of playing how much downforce do I want to get out of this car and how much drag do I want to have. So it's fun to see who's going to find that right tune setup and be able to come out here and, so to say, virtually kiss the bricks.
And this racetrack not used a lot here for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. This will be the third time ever being ran. The other 2 previous times was back in 2021 summer season, where they raced once for only 35 laps. Then the last time they ran was in the 2023 Season 1, where Jonathan Jennings dominated with the pole, most laps led, and the win, leading 35 laps of 56. Tonight, we extend that distance even more. It's going to be 72 laps in distance with just 3 extra sets of tires in pit road, but it's no stage break racing. It's going to make tonight a lot more fun to watch compared to some of the other races that we watch, because strategy could be starting just when the green flag starts.
No doubt, Sam. I think strategy is going to be very, very important here tonight. This place, always interesting to see with the fuel. And another factor that comes here with the Doghouse Racing League is they run a 70% fuel tank. So not our normal 20 gallons. They're going to be cut down 70% of that, and they'll have a little bit less fuel to stretch out these runs. So it's going to make it very critical on how you want to time your strategy. But also another critical thing here now is we head into qualifying to see who can put down the fastest lap.
Who's going to be the fastest one to catch up to some of the top drivers from practice? Your top 3 from practice going to be watching out with some of the newcomers. It's going to be Brandon 6, top of the board. very quick driver and showing that he was already a threat even as a rookie. Other fast drivers to watch out for. You've got second place in points after last season of Andrew St. Cyr. He's going to be trying to run for a championship this season, as well as Brandon Fetterplace, who we thought, Zach, after last season, if he had ran the full season, he would have been competing with those twisted axle drivers.
No doubt. Fetterplace came in and especially excelled really at the intermediate track. So I would expect him to be strong here tonight. And he has like a base to build off now. He's figured these guys out a little bit. You get to learn how your competition races, and it's going to be interesting to see how he can come out the gate swinging. And again, like we said, compete with those top dogs at Twisted Axle. And then, of course, we have newcomers of Brandon Bowie, I believe, Brandon Six, Shane Parrish. We saw him last week at the charity event have a great run. There's a lot of newcomers in the league that have really shook things up, and I think it's going to be quite the pecking order, so to say, once we get this all figured out. But critical time right now, like I said, putting down the fastest lap here at Indianapolis can be so important because this place is not the easiest to pass, especially when it comes to these open setups. I think getting a fast car out front will just make things that much easier.
And talking about getting up front, leading the most laps is going to be critical here tonight, having that fresh air. Every driver that's won this race led the most laps, but it's Jonathan Jennings, the only driver of the past two to grab the pole, lead the most laps, and win. We'll see if we can go back-to-back with that statistic, or we'll have something new shake up here tonight. Speaking about new, I want to say thank you to some of the new sponsors. We'll talk a lot more about them later on the broadcast, but returning Shoney's as the title sponsor, but new sponsors that have hopped on board with the Doghouse Racing League and Cup Series, True Patriot Apparel and Gifts, SSR Designs, Buck Kicker, and Nap Daddy Racing Designs. Thank you for joining on board to the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for this 2024 Season 2. As first couple of laps are entering in, it's going to be Eric Anderson, top of the board currently, but expecting a shift of who's going to be that top driver. And just like that, he was the fastest during practice. And over the first lap, it's Brandon Six, top of the board.
Shane Parrish going to slot into the second position for the time being. And very quick lap from Six there on that first lap. And, the second lap is usually the money lap, so to say. And, that's usually on the fixed side of setup things. If you build your setup to go straight out the gate and you put down a setup on the first lap, then it's set for that. But I'm going to see if anybody else can pick up, because Brandon Six had a major mistake on his second lap, and he had to abort it. So the 06 won't get a second lap. We'll see if anybody else can show that major pickup like sometimes we see on those second laps around.
Fastest lap is a 52.474 from practice. Might have gotten a little bit of draft help, but the second fastest driver was Andrew St. Cyr with a 52.371, so about 1/10 faster. We'll see if St. Cyr can find a little bit more speed. Is Cameron King now going to be second on the board? Parrish tallies back to get second. But still, everyone that's putting in their second lap, they're still 1/10 behind Six. Six's setup for qualifying is a rocket ship just on that first lap. I could not imagine how fast he was going to be for that second lap.
That is the scary thought, that he didn't get that second lap in. I watched him, he got a little bit loose out of two and kind of had to abort that lap. So that is a sign showing that car is very, very quick. We'll get to see in the race trim if that can carry over, or if anybody else can top that time, because like you said, it's still over a full 1/10 of a second. Literally all the way back to second, it's over a 1/10 and a half, or third.
Driver that had the second most poles after last season with 4. It was this Six machine of Kevin Thompson. And for Kevin, it's always been wait until the very last moment to go out there and qualify. And based off how much time's left in qualifying, it's got to be a 1-lap, perfect lap for the Six machine. Zach, we saw the fact that Six, it was a 1-lap wonder to get him on top of the board by over a 1/10 to Parrish. Kevin Thompson's going to need that same magic for himself to show that Twisted Axle still is going to be the top dogs to watch out for.
It's important to start off your season strong, so to say, especially coming off a championship season. You don't want to have a little bit of a championship lull there, where you can kind of play yourself into thinking you got everything figured out, and then it doesn't work out for you. But we'll see, coming off of turn number 4 here at the famed Brickyard. Like you said, he's only going to get 1 lap because we literally have 15 seconds left here in qualifying, so not enough time for another one. We'll see what the time is. It's going to be a 53.005, and that's going to put him back in all the way in 15th. Thompson going to have to come through the field.
Our 2024 Season 1 champion is going to start 15th on the board as everyone else's times conclude. Qualifying is over, and it's the new guys that want to show that they've got the speed. Brandon 6, Shane Parrish, going to be 1-2 to start off the front row here this evening as we enter into the warm-up time of tonight's race. Usually throughout the season, warm-up time is going to allow us to take a closer look at the points, look at the standings, and then get ready to see what the schedule is going to be like for the rest of the season. All that we have would be the schedule. And Zach, that's the only information we really have right now. Is we've got ourselves a 5-race window before we go into our first break this season. Indianapolis, going to Nashville Super Speedway, Pocono, Rockingham, and then Daytona to finish out this first 5 races before they go into their first off week. And honestly, I like that selection of 5 races. Got a lot of variety, and we get to see how every driver is going to evolve throughout this season.
That's for sure. You definitely got a ton of variety right there to start the season off, and it's going to also test their setup building. I mean, that's the big thing here at Doghouse Racing League is how can you take setups and modify them for other places, because sometimes a lot of things will carry over to other places where a lot of times stuff won't carry over. So you're going to have those weeks where you feel like you're just kind of working to figure out a solution for a certain style of racetrack or just a certain track in general because it's so different than the others. So we'll see how it works out. I think tonight is kind of one of those oddball situations, as it's just such a different track than anywhere we go. But I'm quite interested to see once we drop the green flag what kind of speed these cars are going to show in the runway.
Also, with this time, it enables us to give a huge shout out again to the sponsors that are helping out the Doghouse Cup Series. First thing being Shoney's. Shoney's is today's All-American Kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of their West Virginia locations to try out their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bar. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. And also want to say thank you to True Patriot Apparel Gifts. True Patriot Apparel Gifts is a small business that believes in God, standing with our flag, and abiding by the U.S. Constitution. We advocate for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the freedom to bear arms. Go check out www.truepatriotshopUSA.com. Remember to use the promo code DOGHOUSE10 at checkout for 10% off on purchases. I got plenty of great goods to be checking out, t-shirts and more. Go check out again True Patriot Apparel Gifts today. We've got a couple of more other sponsors, but Zach, 2 minutes left. This is going to be a fun season to watch out for. I know I didn't make a picks on who I thought was going to be the race winner, but who are some drivers you would say are drivers to watch out for entering tonight, or maybe just entering the season as a whole as we get ready for our 2024 Season 2 beginning?
Well, every time I come into one of these sessions, I always like to run an application called Stint Analyzer that allows me to actually look at lap time, see like the averages of each and every driver out there, and kind of see who's got what, so to say. And I think for tonight's like tonight are more important than anything because you got open setups and so much variety. And I think that's where we're going to see some drivers make some names for themselves early in the season already. I mean, look at the front row, of course. Brandon 6, Shane Parrish. I think those two will be very strong, especially from what I've seen on lap averages. They look to be the 2 top dogs when it came to 7-10 laps into a run. Then, I want to see somebody like Jeremiah Stutzman, who's qualified 5th here. Maybe, he's going to surprise us too. I mean, you never know. We also got Brandon Bowie. He did not qualify. I know he's got a higher I rating on that side of things. He's starting all the way back in 36. We'll get to see the 54 try to come through the field, of course. Then look to season regulars that were having really good runs at the end, like Better Place, of course. And then also you can see someone like a Gary Clune and Andrew St. Cyr really start to show their worth this season. And St. Cyr was so close after last season's battle with his teammate Kevin Thompson. I'm sure he's got a little bit of the chip on his shoulder to go out there and try to go get that championship. But of course, every season it's always a continuing, moment or Ferris wheel of just people being added in, new drivers coming in, and then sometimes you get those new top contenders that really spice up the field.
I think a couple of those drivers to note on, big drivers to watch out for. Gary Clune, he was a rookie of the year 2 seasons ago. Really didn't have the showing he wanted last season. Was caught up in a lot of mistakes and also being a victim of some wrecks that took him out of some pretty decent runs. So I know for Clune, he's looking for a better run. One driver I keep on circling is Eric Anderson. He came away with 1 top 5 last season. curious if he can grab a couple of more, especially with the way that he was starting to find better pace later on in the season. But warm-up is now concluding. For us of the booth, we get prepared to get you started for a brand new season. The Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series 2024 Season 2 is about to begin for the Brickyard 180 here tonight. Again, thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall as we get prepared to take a look at our starting grid here tonight. A lot of newcomers going to be taking us to the top, but it's going to be Brandon 6, Shane Parrish, your front row 1, 2. Third, we find Cameron King in the 92 machine with Andrew St. Cours in fourth, who came up second in points last season. Wants another chance this go around. Fifth place, we find Jeremiah Stutzman as well as Gary Clune in sixth position. We fall back to seventh and eighth, where we find the likes of the 98 of Jamie Horn and Christopher Leftwich. Then in ninth position, it's Brandon Fetter Place, and the driver I've also got circled up. Watch out for his redemption story. It's the 48 of Michael Hayes, finishing out the top 10.
Starting at 11th, another new driver here is the 03 of Brian Dixon. Alongside him, it's going to be the 71 of Adam Thompson in 12th. 13th is going to go to Adam Gardner, a great Super Speedway record last season. 14th is going to be the 24 of Justin McMahon. 15th is going to go to the 6 car of Kevin Thompson, our defending champion from last season. Alongside him at 16th, it's going to be Christopher Simon. 17th is going to be the 51 of Joe McKnight, with alongside him at 18th, it's going to be the 43 of Eric Anderson, who had quite the strong closeout to last season. 19th is going to be the 9 of Stephen Bonomo, and rounding out the top 20, it's Kevin Powell.
In 21st in the 28 machine, it's Daniel Wilkerson. In 22nd place in the 88, Michael Skimia. All the way down in 23rd positions, the 19 of Nicholas Atwood. Trevor McLaughlin in the 99 will start 24th. In 25th, Tyler Millette in the 94 machine. Eric Warman, driver who could surprise us each and every week, is going to start back in 26th. Tony Martin will start all the way down in 27th. 28th place is the 23 of Jonathan Smith. Nicholas Shell going to be in 29th, and finishing out our top 3, it's the 41 of Andy Cork.
Starting in 31st is the 60 of Mike Leftwich. 32nd in qualifying is going to go to the 7 of Gary Armio. 33rd in qualifying is going to be the 4 of Bill Gentry. In 34th position is going to be Michael Dow. 35th is going to go to the 14 of Michael DeMont. 36th didn't put in a qualifying lap. It's going to be Brandon Bowie. And starting on the rear of this field in 37th, it's Richard Leclerc.
37 drivers expected to take the green here tonight, and they're all slowly starting to leave their grid and getting rolling here for this formation lap to get us taking off to a new season. If you're just joining us for the first time, well, welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you want to stay in the know of when we're live, remember to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button to be notified when we go live 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday. And it's exciting racing we cover each and every week. But for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, if it's your first time watching this series, there are no playoffs. This season is going to be straight up just a points race, 14 races, and you have to be consistent for every single one if you want to hoist the championship. Kevin Thompson did it last season. It took him all the way down to that last race to confirm that he was going to be your points winner. Zach, recognizing the fact that there's no playoffs, it's not a win and you're in system, it's about a whole season. How much does that maybe change your mentality heading into this first race?
A ton. Every race matters at that point. You know, when you have the playoffs, you can kind of slack off. You can, you know, be like, okay, I can make it back from this. I just got to make a certain position in points to get there. If you have one bad race to start off, especially with a 37 car field like we have here tonight, that could be, you know, a huge detriment. I mean, look, we look back to Andrew St. Cours. He missed the race last season. I'm sure if he would have been there for that race, our championship battle would have been very, very tight between, you know, his team and Kevin Thompson and himself. So everything matters. You got to be here for every race, and you got to get the most points starting here tonight. So you got to really be consistent.
The newcomer is going to be starting up front. Shane Parrish already showing signs after last week that he can be a driver to watch out for Super Speedway racing, but proving early that he's also dangerous at the ovals. Also, Brandon 6 gets the first pull of the season, and we get started for your 2024 Season 2. The Brickyard 180 is underway. 6, Parrish, take us down into turn number 1 as these engines get roaring.
Great start from that bottom lane of 6 there. He's going to quickly try to pull away from the grouping behind him, but Shane Parrish is going to be the one working out or groove out at turn number 1 and off into the short chute of turn number 2. Shane Parrish going to hold on to that while St. Cor and Cameron King battle for third.
Cameron King trying to find spacing here to hold off that position. He won't be able to do so. Will slot into the 4th place position as everyone's trying to find a way to get in the line. The draft's going to be so important to stay up front, but if you're not getting any draft help on the straightaways, you're just going backwards. But lap number 1 looks to be solidified as Brandon Six continues to hit his marks. And lap number 1 going to be in the books. The 06 going to stay up front, grabs the pole, leads lap number 1, and showing early on. This 6 machine in the early going looks quick, but we know, Zach, it's not always about how the beginning of the race goes. The long run is where Twisted Axle always showed its strength.
That is for sure. Twisted Axle was always, cars that came on as the run went on. And that's one thing you got to watch here at this Indianapolis Motor Speedway is everybody's getting strung out and trying to get all single filed out as it's mostly just a one groove racetrack. The one thing you will see is a ton of tire wear here and a ton of fall off because really this track 2.5 miles in length really overheats the tires, and you're going to see definitely some drivers start to struggle with these cars as they get farther into the run. And on the open setup side of things, that's the beauty of it because you can tune a lot of that to make sure the balance swings the way you want it to go.
As we're looking there at Jamie Horn, Brandon Fetterplace, those are your 2 drivers that have given up a lot of positions early on. Some drivers that have gained a lot of positions early in just the first 2 laps. Going to be Adam Thompson up 4 positions from where he started, but our top 3, they are in the go button. They are taking off and putting down some fast laps, and they've already crushed what their fastest laps were during practice. Fastest driver, it's Andrew St. Cor in 3rd position, just latching to our front 2, pulling them away from 4th place to Cameron King.
That it is. And this track is very drafty too. The long straightaways, you get such a good tow from the car ahead. But when you do get to the corner here, St. Cor, he's going to duck out and have a little bit of the car out to the right. Preferably you want to be a little lower, but you actually sometimes want to be out to the right because the downforce that you lose on the nose of these race cars is so critical to the performance. That time St. Cor gets well below that apron and gets a great, bit of air on that left front fender to really fuel that underfloor of the car to get the downforce working. So that's very critical to do here. And with these 3 starting to walk away, Cameron King's trying to hold on, but it's Gary Clune who's kind of started the next little breakaway of cars from 5th on back.
See the green, that's the proof of driver putting down the fastest lap. Thank you to ATVO for the package that we're running for graphics here this evening. As drivers up front get close to that outside wall at the exit of the corner, and for Brandon Six, he's trying to hold this top spot, but we're going to go side by side for the lead as Shane Parrish wants this top spot, and Six will gift it very easily. Not fighting them for that spot just on lap 4, but I'm curious, Zach, on drivers as Parrish gets a little bit wiggly. With this being an open setup league, how different it must feel for each setup, for each driver on is their setup made for being in the draft, or is it made to be up front?
That's exactly right, Sam, because the balance changes so much from having clean air to not having clean air. Six, who was out front there just momentarily, he had all the downforce on the nose of the race car. So if he was a little bit free or a little bit loose, so to say, what we mean by that is the rear end of the car kicking out and wanting to spin out more or less than say, when you have that sensation out in the clean air, you get that sensation even more. It really creates a lot more oversteer and continues that loose condition. So when you get in the dirty air, it's going to maybe tighten that balance back up and your car can be a little bit better following the car behind.
I'm starting to see some movement, just 5 laps in of drivers trying to make some passes. Michael Hayes on the outside, getting pressured by the likes of Brandon Fetterplace. Adam Thompson also trying to push forward, but being under pressure from Jamie Horn. And looks like Fetterplace willing to back off, but they want these positions back as they are on the go, trying to move forward and seeing certain drivers picking and choosing where they want to go at this moment. It's all about where can you place yourself, and it looks like for Michael Hayes, it's going backwards as he gets passed by the rookie of Brian Dixon.
Brian Dixon there moving forward, and the rookies are having a good showing so far. A lot of these drivers driving up through the field and showing here that, hey, we've come to play here for this season, and it's going to definitely widen the gap between everybody and just make that being consistent that much more important. When everybody's much closer and tightly bound up together. You know, you could go from being running 15th one week to being a top 5 car. So it's going to be fun to see how that all shakes up and really changes throughout the, you know, few weeks here, or these first few weeks here before we get a break.
Lap 6 is about to be completed. Start of lap 7 for the field, and it's Shane Parrish still leading the way. Brandon Six going to be in second. Andrew St. Cyr third. Fourth is Cameron King. A pretty big gap between King and Gary Clune in 5th place, where we're seeing this gaggle of cars kind of meshing up to one another. And this has got to be a little bit nerve-wracking, as once we see more movement happening around Horn, as well as Stutzman and Leftwich all getting squirrely off the exit of the corner. And just 7 laps in, Zach, a lot could change as into the outside wall. That's going to be Adam Gardner who slams the wall, and Kevin Thompson will blitz by his teammate.
Kevin Thompson with the nice clean pass there. It's always easier when someone just makes a mistake like that and allows you to get that nice clean track position. As Thompson there a little deep into 3 that time up the racetrack, but he holds it together. But definitely tough break there for Gardner. You don't want to be getting in the wall too many times. From what I'm looking at, it doesn't look to be too bad from the size of the hit that was, and seems like he'll be scot-free for now. But you don't want to hit that car too many times. You get some good damage on these race cars here in Indianapolis, where the aero is so important. You'll have some big issues. But look at this, Michael Hayes now under attack from Kevin Thompson just from a moment ago.
Thompson has been given the green light. That 6 is on the move, trying to take some big passes, already up 2 positions from where they started. Hayes, on the other hand, trying to recover from where he qualified. Qualified 10th, fell all the way back to 14th for a quick moment. 48 is still going backwards, it seems. As take a look at the differences between these drivers on who's in the better spot. Here's Gardner and Justin McMahon. McMahon, also one of the drivers, is trying to have a difference of a season. In the past, was one of the threats to watch out for to get into victory lane, battle for a championship last season. That threat just was not there. He was really struggling at moments. Here tonight, currently 15th, down 1 position where he qualified with a 24. Not wanting to give up, as they're 3 wide in front of him, though, as Brandon Fetterplace wants to make the big move and able to at least get 1. He'll stay side by side with the 71 of Adam Thompson. As this grouping, again, this is where the gaggle of cars have been, and this has been respectful driving, but a little bit nerve-wracking at moments with the style we're seeing at Indianapolis.
Going 2 wide, 3 wide here. This could be a little bit hairy. This place is not got the biggest of groove of a racetrack. It really will make you worry sometimes when you send it down below people trying to keep that car up underneath them. And you can see Better Place just not able to keep the car wound up, and that is going to allow the 71 to have Thompson to move around the outside. Better Place back to 9th. Brian Dixon now up to 10th here. And Hayes has been able to hold back Kevin Thompson, who now is trying to get past, it looks like, the 8 of Chris Leftwich, who really lost a good bit of time in all this battle up ahead.
All the battling to start finally get solidified in what position they're in. More battling, though, behind them, as Kevin Thompson trying to get by Chris Leftwich and trying to crack into our top 10. Other drivers you see in the black and green, bringing out some new colors. That's going to be Kevin Powell, who's trying to have a good run. I mean, Powell had moments at the short tracks where this 93 really was a threat at times for a top 5, top 10 run. Here this evening, runs 15th with getting by Adam Gardner to the inside.
This is some great battling going on back here, and you know, we're already 10 laps into this run here when we completely this time by, and laps are, you know, starting to click away here pretty quickly with all this battling going on, and we'll be seeing pit stops within the next really 15 laps. I went and looked at it, had some fuel mileage data from past races here, and it looks like these drivers with a 14-gallon tank that they have here at Doghouse compared to the normal 20-gallon tank, looks like these drivers will be able to go about 27, maybe 28 laps when it comes to being in and outside that draft. So we'll probably be seeing a 2-stopper here tonight where it starts around lap 25. Then you'll see that final stop around 50 if we can keep this thing green. But oh, there's beating and banging there. There's Gardner again into the outside wall, and it's going to allow him to slide back, and that allows Kevin Powell to go forward along with Eric Anderson.
Anderson follows through. Might be even seeing Christopher Simon try to attempt to go to the inside. And one of the biggest movers of drivers inside of our top 20, Eric Warman, up 7 positions for the 31. Trying to set up where he's going to go, but here's your most positions gained. And there's one driver that I think with no surprise with where he started, further on back is more contact going to be made for some of the field, as Jeremiah Stutzman has to go into pit road for himself on lap 11. for himself. Curious on that pit stop, looking to see if maybe there was any trouble that struck, and this could be a strategy call, but interesting to see the 22 make this pit stop now. But biggest mover being being that 54, Zach, who started practically last. I think there was zero surprise on that.
No surprise for sure on that, Sam. He was quickly making his way through the field of march, and he's been very methodical. I watched him. He made a few moments where it could have probably went a little bit more risky with, but he backed out of those situations and just said, I'm going to figure it out from there. Is now trying to set his sights on Warman to get up into the 19th position. Brandon Bowie definitely on the move, so to say, but I wouldn't look to this Jeremiah Stutzman pit stop. No damage, nothing like that. I'm guessing maybe Sam, he's trying to restop strategy, so we'll have to see what he elects to do, or maybe with the open setups with maybe the higher speeds here, and they don't feel confident on making it the 25 laps that they're going to need to do the two-stop.
Curious about it was a two-tire stop for the 22. So we'll see how Stutzman's strategy lines up with the rest of the field, as 13 laps in the book, and currently it is still Shane Parrish up front, leading Brandon Six and Andrew Sankor. Your top three still attached to one another, as Shane Parrish is trying his best to continue to run down the rest of the field and trying to put Stutzman at least one lap down.
That they are, and right now we're riding on board with the fifth place man, Jamie Horn. He took over that position with Stutzman hitting pit road, so he liked seeing that for sure, and already Horn up 2 positions where he started. He's also joined the Jonathan Jennings crew, so that's good to see, and I think that's going to help maybe even some of the setups that he was getting much better with last season. Maybe now that'll even take him a next step up, because that crew really always seemed to have a great car when it comes to a race car at the racetrack. And right now, he's trying to track down Cameron King, who's ahead, which he was about a tenth quicker than him last time by. So we'll see if he can continue that march before we head to pit stops.
Yeah, Jamie Warren coming off of a pretty stout season last season for himself. 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and trying to continue on with tonight's race. Here's Cameron King and Jamie Horn's difference. It's 2.7 seconds. We'll see once they cross the line if it's going to ebb and flow with the exit of the corner. It looks like for King, got a little bit of a better launch off the exit of the corner for the 92, but you can see there big gaps being made between 4th all the way down to where 7th is. 7th place, there's a little bit of a pack being built there, but looks like up front, a lot better spacing out for one another. It's a lot more racing your own race. While drivers in the middle of the pack, it is certainly a gladiator spot where drivers are trying not to run over one another.
That it is much more stacked up farther back, and really, I look from the 12th position on back at Kevin Powell. I mean, he's got McMahon, Leftwich, Brandon Bowie now, who's broke his way up into the top 15, who keeps the continued car through the field. You got Eric Anderson, Christopher Simon, all these drivers stacked up on one another, just really trying to make time on each other and get some track position before we head to that first pit stop.
Looking at Bowie, he's running so much faster than everyone else. He's about a half a second faster than some of the drivers he's around, running similar paces to Cameron King, I would say Bowie is currently, but that's on top of all of the passing he's had to do to get to 15th position. This is incredible pace that we're seeing from the 54, who's getting good practice. We've had to climb through the field, which could be very important later on in this race if we could find ourselves with a caution. But Zach, this is one of those moments where Brandon Bowie missed out on qualifying, had to start in the back, but is proving if he was up front would be a threat for a top 5 finish.
Oh, no doubt. I think if he was actually on clean track, he would be just as quick as our leaders. I mean, he's got a lap time in the 52 seconds, which many people, only really the top 4 have. He's also just really working his way through the field. He's done it really methodically too, so we'll see how he's going to set up Christopher Leftwich here and try to make this pass, because this battle right here has kind of allowed McMahon and Kevin Powell to kind of separate a little bit from him, and Tribu's not in too much of a rush. I mean, this is a shorter length of a race, but I would think that he's not worried too much about making this pass too quickly. But look at that great run off of 1, but he's going to get loose there with the great side draft from the 8th. So the 8 there and being very, very tough, making sure he's got a good run off, and the 54 a little bit loose there. And that's a condition that I've normally seen here at this racetrack. You get a little bit loose off the exit when you're trying to pass somebody, and it just seems like Boo is just going to have to reset that up because he's definitely got the quicker race car right now.
Trying to reset back up. Here's the battling for first place and some of the gaps that have been going on right now. Our first top 3 all within 7/10 of one another, and then 4th place 4 seconds back from our leader. It really has turned into just a pure race between our top 3 if we stay green again. But also pit stops will be looming here shortly in the next 10 laps or less. So the field knows you got to position yourself further up ahead. But then the call, Zach, of, seeing Stutzman, the fact that he pitted so early, maybe that was a stretch call. If he knew he could stretch it further, why not pit early, take 2 tires, minimize the time, and you can find ways to gain any bit of speed. I don't think it's really a strategy that's going to work out, but small little advantages you're going to be looking for this next pit stop.
That's for sure. And if you feel like you can make it about 30 laps, I mean, where he pitted, he technically could stretch that tank out and 1 stop from there if he could make it 30 laps. That's going to be the real critical thing that I worry about with that strategy, is just making it that far. After watching Gary Clune right here in the 8th position, we'll have to pay attention to that, how far Stutzman takes it in this next run. But I do expect pit road to get very, very busy here in really the next 3 laps possibly, because again, this strategy is based a 25 lapper, but then that leaves you only with 22 laps to end this race. So you could technically pit a little bit earlier here if you want to break it down exactly even.
And if it's looking like it might be a little bit too much of a job for you to find yourself making a scheme, well, we got 2 places for you to search up: SSR Designs. If you're looking to take your car or iRacing paint scheme to the next level, no further looking, look up SSR Designs. With passion and creation of custom paint schemes that are unique, we specialize in tuning your vision into reality. Whether you want to stand out on track or simply want that one-of-a-kind look for your ride, we've got you covered. Go on to Facebook and look up SSR Designs, and we can set you up and make sure that you look spectacular. SSR Designs, for the look that you truly own. Thank you so much to SSR Designs, as well to Nap Daddy Racing Designs. Head over to www.napdaddyracing.com. That's Nap with KNAPP, daddyracing.com to join your next design. Thanks so much to both of those amazing design and scheme makers for joining up with the 2024 Season 2 of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. 20 laps in the book here tonight at Indianapolis, so 72. Thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Running productions in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. And tonight's race, again, you are watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, the Brickyard 180 at Indianapolis. These drivers are really putting on pressure, Zach. A couple of now exiting pit road was Nicholas Atwood. But here's a factor that could be changing throughout this race. Going to be the weather. What are your thoughts on the weather so far here tonight?
Well, I tell you what, it's 121 degrees, as you can see on that track temperature. That is scalding hot. That's due to that 80-degree ambient temperature outside here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the partly cloudy skies. That temperature is going to really make tire wear, tire fall off even that much more critical to this race. And then you also see a 7-mile-an-hour southwest wind that's switching to south. So that wind, very big effect when it comes to a 2.5-mile racetrack like this. You can get a headwind that's going to really hurt you down the straightaways but help you in the corners, while a tailwind will help you down the straights, hurt you in the corners. So it's definitely a tough position to be in, and just really deciding which wind will be the best for you.
As making small adjustments as the weather moves on over, but I gotta say, the weather and the fact that the way it changes throughout races is always so fun to watch, especially big thanks to iRacing that we race on, and how much they've tried to work on the weather system to enable the extreme differences that everyone deals with. But as we hit lap 20, surprise driver Nicholas Atwood making a pit stop for the 19. Also looks to be the driver having slight connection issues is Eric Anderson that drops back. I'm curious, Zach, pit stops. You had a number circled Do you think everyone's aiming for that number? Could someone up front think about going for an earlier pit stop?
They definitely could think for an earlier pit stop. I mean, if you're someone like a St. Core right now who is starting to drop back a little bit from the likes of Shane Parrish and Brandon Six, who are still neck and neck up front, it could really come through your mind. Or someone like a Jamie Horn, who's now gotten past Cameron King. He's been really making great time. He's actually starting to catch St. Core a little bit. Now still 4.3 seconds back for him, but he's done a good job where he could possibly think about undercutting a little bit. But again, this track was so much fall off in the lap time. You don't really want to risk pitting too early, because then you're just going to put yourself at the risk of really being struggling on old tires. And then if a caution does come out too, you're most likely going to have to just save those older tires, because really only 4 sets of tires in this race. You don't want to be wasting too many.
As you saw there, Stutzman was catching up to the end of the line of drivers that still have yet to pit. So speed's showing, but caution flag flies. Trouble, and it's for a previous champion, Kevin Thompson, trying to slow down and get into pit road, and spins out on pit entry.
A little clumsy getting in here to pit road, and this is not an easy pit road to get into either. It's on the more higher difficulty, especially because that line that starts here at Indianapolis for the Cup Series is much farther forward than what it is for the IndyCar, where it's past the the pit wall entry. It's much farther up here. You're going to see here the 6 finally. He's like, I'm coming down. I want to undercut some of these guys, and then probably a little bit too much brake bias in the rear. That thing locks up, sends him sideways, and then from here, that caution's already out. He's going to try to back up, go down pit road. He's going to back into that outside wall. That's not going to be the best of luck for him. But I think the worst thing for him, he's going to go a lap down with the leaders just passing him now.
Kevin Thompson tried everything there. Going to get service. And like I said, going to go at least 1 lap down. We'll see if maybe that lap can come back, because we'll right on board, get a sense of what it's like in 4th gear, just counter steering the whole way around turn 3. Doing a similar thing here off of turn 4, getting on the brakes, trying to slow down, but shifting to 3rd, 2nd, and right when he goes down to 1st was just still too fast and locks it up.
Yeah, I think he tried to get the 1st to get him slowed down more, and like you said, as soon as he hit 1st, the wheels just started hopping, and he was in trouble from there. But I tell you what this caution does do, it really sets up an interesting situation now. Brandon Bowie drove himself all the way up to 11th. He is now going to be a factor in this race, I believe.
He's going to be a factor, and on the opposite side of things, the driver that gets hurt by this is going to be Jeremiah Stutzman, who was cruising his way and was banking on this race to stay green for at least 1 pit cycle. Doesn't work out. The 22 is going to be trapped all the way back in 32nd position. And also, for Stutzman, who pitted on lap 11, does he take tires here? Because the field only have 3 sets of tires to work with for tonight's race. 22 has already taken 2 tires. Use another set here.
I mean, tough to say, Sam, especially because if he uses another set, he'll have 1 set of right sides left after that. So, going to be a tough decision on that 22 team. But let's see, actually someone getting into the outside pit wall there, man, coming to pit road. I think it might have been the 71 of Adam Thompson, along with Michael Hayes. Both those drivers getting into that entry there on the pit wall. And that will really be detrimental to them. Looks like luckily these cars are pretty tanky, so the 48 doesn't get too much, but the 71 a heavy bit of right front damage.
Also going to be Brandon Fetterplace, who clobbered the wall initially. He was the first one to hit it. The rest of the field just was following in suit. As the pit entry, if everyone's just staying in line, you're expecting someone to give you some spacing awareness, and it looks like everyone's starting to tilt over to the right just a little bit too far. They do hit that right side pit wall, and hard damage. Some drivers gonna have to stay in pit road for extended damage repair, but Adam Thompson required damage. His race went from looking spectacular for a debut race here this evening for the 2024 season to absolutely horrendously terrible for the 71. That's got to be hard for himself, but some drivers going with strategy. Jeremiah Stutzman does not pit. The 22 stays out on track.
This is going to be an interesting case for him. Another wild thing that happened there is we're going to have to see exactly where Shane Parrish came out. He had a major mistake getting into his box, locked up, went in too deep, and also too far left. So not only did he have to back up he had to almost pull back forward and get the car to the right to get his stop. And it looks like he's going to be back in the 15th position. So on pit road, looks like he lost about 13 spots there, Sam. That is going to be tough to come back from for a car that was that fast up front. And also Brandon Bowie really doing a good job on pit road, up to 8th there. So he gained a ton of spots.
Yeah, with everyone that smashed into that wall on the right side, and then also the mistakes, Bowie was gifted a free 4 positions just by having a clean pit stop, and didn't even need his team to go out there and put down the fastest pit box time. It worked out perfectly. Now the 54, like we said before, going to be a factor in this race. That is a no-doubter. But looking at the field, looks to be an EOL going to be given to Kevin Thompson, who will be sent to the end of the line. Tough for the 6 machine, who brought out the yellow and will not be given the wave around because Stutzman did not pit. The 6 bringing out the caution and will stay 1 lap down.
That is the worst way you can start your defense to a championship, but we know how resilient that 6 machine is. We'll see how well Kevin Thompson can rebound from all of this here tonight and see if he can get that car in a somewhat favorable position. So we'll see how that shakes out, but definitely an uphill battle to climb for him, and he's going to need some help with some yellow flags.
Stutzman going to be out there with 15 lap older tires compared to Brandon 6, who's going to be on the outside. And Andrew Secor going to be on the inside behind the 22. One driver that I'm curious about, Brandon Fennerplace. Man, he was the initial driver to clobber the wall. He might have been gifted all right to survive, even with that heavy damage. It didn't look like he had to stay in for very long. I gotta say, the 34 was graced by the iRacing gods today.
He definitely was, Sam. He took a pretty good lick with it, and like you said, he was the one that kind of started everybody drifting out into that wide on pit road. And that's the thing about these cars sometimes, when you're stacked up each other coming down the pit road, you can't really see too far ahead, and other people just kind of baited into the wall there. And luckily for his sake, he didn't end up with that much damage. It was really the 71 Adam Thompson who had a tremendous amount of damage from that. So it is a tough position to be in if you're one of the guys that hit that wall, but if you are the likes of Fennerplace, you're pretty happy that you didn't end up too bad.
Hoping to get a good launch here is going to be Stutzman at 6. We know is going to be the major threat now, with seeing Shane Parrish falling all the way back to 15th with that pit stop error. Pace car going to let us stretch out for another lap here, as they were trying to get all the drivers cycled in the right positions, actually to make sure we had an extra lap to get all that service done. This also, with the time of this caution and having this lap to reset, Eric Anderson did disconnect from this race. He was having internet problems, has reconnected, currently 3 laps down. He is the 43, and with Adam Thompson still on pit road with required damage, 43 might be able to move up at least 1 spot and might be able to get all these laps back if we go into a caution-filled race from here on out. But Zach, this is that odd spot where traditionally in the past, cautions are a rarity here in the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, but last season, it became a pretty usual thing. Over half the races, we had to go to overtime because of the amount of cautions that were coming out. Tonight, it's going to be probably a good sense. Is this our one and only caution, or are we going to go back to what we were seeing a lot last season?
Hey, high possibilities to look like that could happen again. I mean, with the size of the field here, you got to expect sometimes those things to happen. Everybody's going for it. They're pushing the setups to the limit, so the balances are on the limit of these cars. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it shakes out later here. But with the 22 starting up front on the older set of tires, if you're Brandon 6 here, you just got to get a good enough start to stay alongside him so you can pass him out of 1 and 2. But if you're Anderson Gore and that 06 gets a bad start, you need to get around that 22 and pounce quickly so you can get a hold of that clean air. That could be critical for this 12 machine or the 98 who lays him weight in the second row.
All the drivers get prepared for this launch. Again, the Doghouse Cup Series, sponsored by Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Go check out their locations in the West Virginia area. Also, True Patriot Apparel and Gifts. Remember to use the promo code Doghouse number 10. That's Doghouse 10 at checkout for 10% off. SSR Designs, Butt Kicker, and Nap Daddy Racing Designs. As pace cars into pit road, we're into the Geico restart zone, and your Brickyard 180 is back underway in the inside road. Got a pretty good launch as Stutzman is rolling, but following in suit's going to be the 12 of St. Cour. It's 6. He's got to battle side by side for second place. Who's gonna have the better launch? Is it Stutzman? Is it St. Cour? It looks like Stutzman's gonna be trying to block both lanes.
Stutzman just putting it on the bottom there, and that is what's really clogging things up for the 12. He tried to drive it in the 1 to get the run through to get past the 22. Couldn't do it. Now the 06 cleared to do it himself. Let's see if Brandon can get the run he needs. And the 06 of Brandon 6 here gonna wait and really trying to size up this 22 before he goes for it, and it's gonna look for the run out of 3.
Trying to find the better run, better positionings as Stutzman just putting that rear bumper exactly where 6 wants to go. But finally 6, St. Cour going to be having a chance to go to the inside quarter panel of the 22. And Stutzman tried his best, but with no ability to hold off. It's going to be the 06 of 6 back to the point, as well as seeing St. Cour passing by, and Stutzman's hopes of staying up front, they will be diminished, they will be pushed back, but watch out for 5th place, soon to be 4th. It's Bowie. He's back in the spot where he needs to be, fighting with our top 4.
Wow, what a move from him, starting 8th on that restart now, already into the top 4. Brandon Bowie doing exactly what he's done all race, moving forward here as Stutzman just trying to hang on with the older tires. It's going to be Michael Hayes, or sorry, Brandon Fairplace is going to get past him now. Michael Hayes is going to be the next in line to try to do that with Cameron King, Brian Dixon, Kevin Powell, and then you have to look all the way back to 13th for that 66 of Shane Parrish, who was our leader early in this race. Mistake on pit road really mired him back.
I think everyone we expected to push forward did a fabulous job in those first 2 laps of this restart. Parrish, though, only 2 spots. It's going to hurt that 66 machine. Again, only in 12th. Needs to move forward quickly, because if we stay green, you're gonna lose touch to the top 4 that are gonna pull away quickly here very soon, as the battling for 4th and 5th is kind of over. Gotta give credit to Brandon Fetterplace. That 34, even after clobbering the wall, was the reason why Bowie was able to move up to 4 so quickly, as Stutzman behind the 34 did touch the wall and is losing a ton of positions because of it.
That he is, ton of momentum losses. Going to allow Kevin Powell, Brian Dixon, all those drivers right on by, and he's going to slip out right here to the 10th position. And next in line will be Shane Parrish, who just got his pass on Chris Leftwich. So Shane Parrish trying to get back into the top 10 here with a great move, but it's going to be easy 1-2 because it's the 22 on the older tires.
22 falling back, and the temperatures are ratcheting up, and having 20 lap older tires compared to the rest of the field that only has 2 laps of green flag tires under their cells. It's tough. You are trying everything in your power, but there's really nothing you can do if you're Stutzman. You just have to wait this out. Wait for a chance to hit pit road, but trouble behind. Driver spins around. It's Joe McKnight who goes around. 4 drivers collecting. Oh no! Oh God, no! Joe McKnight and the rest of the field clobbering in the back. Oh my goodness!
Wow, Sam. Joe McKnight hit that part of the wall that sticks out, and literally his car just flew back into the racing line. There was really nothing McKnight could do. I think when we go back here and look at this, this is going to be wild, folks. This is, a 3,400-pound race car launching back across the racetrack and landing on top of another one.
Joe McKnight, here it is, exit at 2, looking for a chance, gets clipped, sent to the inside, and take off and launch as he goes back into the field, and just nowhere to go for Mike Leftwich, and the rest of the field just continues to clobber into one another.
Oh, giant damage for 3 to 4 cars there. That could have been much worse than it was, but wild scenes there. That car just launched off that inside soft wall and just straight back onto the racing surface. I believe the 58 of Nicholas Shell was the one who really got the big hit from all of this. But I tell you, that is a moment you don't expect to see with a car launching back across the racetrack like the 51 did.
Absolutely not. And the drivers that have required damage, Joe McKnight going to beat Trevor McLaughlin, Nicholas Shell, and Mark Dumont going to be heavily damaged, required damage for those 4. And we will ride on board and get a sense of what happened to Nicholas Shell as he was following in the tire tracks of the 6th machine. And we've seen this before a lot this past week. In the past 2 weeks, you could say iRacing servers have had some just oddball moments. And it looks like Mike Leftwich's damage somehow got put on to Nicholas Shells.
Yeah, that's one of those cases where, again, some network issues. I mean, like you said, we've seen some wild things these past few weeks with issues. And, I think it all underlies with a lot of things with the servers, most likely here lately, just with the change up of how they're working and everything. It is definitely led to some bad cases. And now some people heading to pit road here trying to get not only some cars fixed, but maybe use this for a little bit of strategy, for a little bit extra fuel for something here later in the race. But man, this is wild scenes here, Sam, in Indianapolis after seeing the 51. I mean, it was almost like he got launched off it like a rocket ship. I mean, there was really nothing Joe McKnight could do. He just got spun down there into the worst spot you could be.
Yeah, hit the wall like he hit an invisible ramp, shipped him off to the rest of the field, and away they went, clobbering into one another, bringing out our second caution of the day. And what a moment that we're going to remember for a while here in the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. But for us of the booth, I think we're going to step away for a quick moment. When we come back, more racing action of Indianapolis here this evening. Again, you're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you to Shoney's, True Patriot Apparel, SSR Designs, Butt Kicker, and Nap Daddy Racing Designs. We will be back right after this for more racing action. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series 2024 Season 2 opener. Green flag is out in the air for Brandon Six, Andrew St. Court, and there's one driver, surprisingly, still did not pit. Jeremiah Stutzman back in 11th position. 22 did not pit, but up front, they're all ready to take off as we're heading into turns 1 and 2.
Great start from the 06 there. He's able to slide up in front of Andrew St. Clair, who's able to hold off Jamie Horn for the time being. But let's see what Brandon Bowie can do now in the 4th position, along with Fetter Place up to 5th. And Bowie, big run on Horn down the back straightaway. He's going to look to the inside, and he's going to be there. Brandon Bowie looking to break into the top 3 after only 36 laps here and start all the way back in the 36th position.
Bowie's trying his best to make this pass confirmed about the exit of turn 3 and will do so. Horn's able to give up that spot, and now also going to be watching out for the 34 of Brandon Fetterplace. I still will never get over the fact that he hit that wall going into pit road under pacing, and this car is still drivable at the speed that it's at in 5th position. But other drivers we've got to take note of that have been moving forward. Kevin Powell inside of our top 10 in 10th position, but Shane Parrish, who was fighting for the lead and leading this race before first caution came out, runs in 9th position as he's on his own recovery run. But the battle for 2nd place, it's on. St. Clair as well as Bowie are right on top of one another.
Bowie made the late move there to make the 12 kind of make the mistake. The 12 closes the door. That kind of slowed both of them up right there. Now Jamie Horn, he's going to take his opportunity to look to the inside, but he decides better of it, and now he's going to just drop back into line there in the 4th. But like you said, Parrish up to 8th now. He's making the pass on Cameron King. That kind of caution helped bring him back a little bit closer to all this, but Shane Parrish still got a lot of work to do in the 66 if he wants to go fight with that top 3 who have now solidified themselves up front.
King stays a little bit too high, gives an opportunity for Kevin Powell now to slot his way forward. Again, biggest movers for sure is Bowie, who's been flying his way forward. A couple of other big movers. Powell up 11 positions, 15 for Jonathan Smith, who's in the middle of the field, and starting to see some of our fastest laps being placed right now as drivers are flying at this moment.
That they are. Definitely some of the fastest laps we've seen. Bowie and Brandon Six both turn their fastest laps there, but it's Kevin Powell still back here in the 10th position. But it's going to be Christopher Leftwich who's going to give the push to the 92 of Cameron King. That allows him to clear, and the 92 holds on to 9th for now, but a little bit tight off the exit of 3, and that's going to open up the door for the 93 of Kevin Powell once again, and the 92 way deep into 4, and now that's going to be a clean pass from Kevin Powell, put him on up to 9th.
It might be a little bit of more games. No, it's not. Not going to utilize the draft. Instead, we'll just move to the inside as Leftwich getting some assistance behind him from Gary Clune, who's going to be trying their best to move forward. Another fastest lap going to be given to Brandon Six, who flies forward, leading this race up to 2/10 ahead. But the battle that we see on screen, King, Clune, almost contact into 2, and off the exit, they'll stay side by side, and more contact going to be made. Opportunities for drivers behind these two that might try to go for a pass, but might be a little bit too reckless to go for a move at this moment. Why not go 3 wide for Justin McMahon?
McMahon trying to make the big move there down in the 3, but backs out of it. I think he noticed that that was not going to work, as now the 45 of Clune's going to clear the 23, who's going to slot back to 13th, but Cameron King just trying to hold station because King lost a ton through all of that sequence. He was really going backwards as he just couldn't keep that car really hooked up there for that moment. But even up ahead there, you see Shane Parrish. He's now slid up into 7th. Next on his list will be Michael Hayes. But again, that top grouping just seems to walk away early in the runs as everybody puts down so many quick laps. Another note that we have to say after that last caution too, Kevin Thompson back on the lead lap. He's up to 27th.
Thompson is going to be flying and also had to avoid that last wreck that we saw of the Joe McKnight explosion back into the field. As Cameron King and Chris Leftwich, they're back to battling side by side. And King, it's been the second half of the track that's been where we've seen the 92 kind of just push high, especially through 4. And Zach, I know you would have a lot more experience, a track that you adore. How different is this track from turns 1 and 2 to 3 and 4? Because it just seems like King is struggling on the second half of this course.
You know, you look at the track, you look at the track map, and you go, it looks exactly the same. No, it is completely different. In my opinion, turn 1, always been an easier corner to get into turn 3. It just seems like it's either uphill, downhill, whatever it is they got going on with the elevation change there. This seems like, well, at least for me as a driver, 1 has always been a much easier corner, where 3 has been much more tough. And then 2 always seems to be a little bit of a trouble point for people, while turn 4 seems to be the strong point for others. It's really 4 different unique corners. They may look the same, their banking may be identical, but they are completely different when it comes to how you got to drive them. And it's really just finding that unique feel that you like around this track. and hitting that mark over and over again. This place is all about consistency and hitting your marks. If you're off a millimeter of an inch off the groove that you want to be, the grip is just going to be completely different and your car is not going to handle the exact way. So you got to be perfect here if you want to be kissing those bricks after the race is over.
Right on board, Justin McMahon, as he's trying to figure out the point to let off and break for himself, as McMahon, Jonathan Smith, 13th, 14th position, watching King as well as Clue continue to battle for the drivers just outside of the top 10. I feel like, the way this race is going, if Bowie wasn't the driver that was climbing through the field and now Bowie's trying to make a pass for second place, if Bowie wasn't here, who started in last, we would be praising, I think, Jonathan Smith, one of our biggest movers outside of the 54, as Smith is up 16 positions, as well as another driver that's moved up who's had a quiet night, Bill Gentry at 16th. He's up 17 spots as well. So it's a pretty good racing all around, as Bowie was not able to make the pass for second. He'll stay in third, but this cluster of drivers, we fall back. You can see getting now is the 22 with Stutzman, who's making his second pit stop, forcing himself to pit under green. Rest of the field, they're going to be close. They're most likely going to have to pit at least one more time before the race is over, but Bill Gentry, Zach, a driver last season that was just shrouded around accidents. It felt like every week he was involved in at least one. Here tonight, over halfway the first race, he has kept this nose clean and out of trouble, and it's been a quiet night for the Ford.
And up from 33rd starting position, too, for the Ford, Bill Gentry. So great job right now being up into the top 16, trying to break into that top 15 right there ahead of him, as there's been some great battling going on. But it looks like Cameron King into the outside wall, as King's run is going from bad to worse now. That 92, after being in the top 5 early in the race, now going to drop back to 16th. And after that collision into the wall, he's going to slip back into the opportunities of Stephen Bonomo, Adam Gardner, and Nicholas Atwood back here in the 19th position.
Talked about Bill Gentry trying to, evolve and not have that same moniker of being involved in a wreck. Well, Cameron King on the other side, this is the way I felt like he was racing last season, was he would be strong in the first half. Then once the second half turned around, there was a bad omen, there was something wrong. The 92 just would fall apart, and we're seeing it right now live as King continues to fall backwards now to 16th, and Bonomo trying his best to run down the Ford.
He's trying his best for sure right now to run him down, and if you're Bonomo, you just see the 92 bounce off the wall, you're saying, okay, this could be free, easy pickings here. But again, this next-gen car is so resilient. I even look through the car of the 92 of Cameron King. He's hit the wall multiple times now. That car still looks very, very strong when it comes to the side quarter panels. So very, very tough situation to be in if you're, Stephen Bonomo, where you just see him bounce off the wall, but you're really not making the gains that you probably want to. But now closes in down here in turn 1.
And other battles are happening deeper in the field. The battle for 23rd position is trying to ramp up, and for 24th, it's Kevin Thompson is removed from King. Thompson trying to make his way forward, currently battling with Christopher Simon and able to make the pass cleanly. And also following in suit is going to be Adam Thompson, who's back out on track after his collision into the pit wall after our first caution. And drivers are making the hard decisions of how do you want to ramp your way forward. And for Thompson, again, was in the middle of the field, and he brought out that first caution with just a simple mistake, and it's taken him all race to just get to 23rd. This has got to be so demoralizing for the 6 machine.
It really does, because he was having a great start to the race. He was working his way forward from where he qualified. Didn't have the greatest qualifying spot. Was showing a good little bit of pace. So I think if you were, Kevin Thompson, you were just looking to hold on to what you had. But it is tough to see that caution come out, and with that mistake he made getting on the pit road and really hurt him like it did. So he'll have, luckily, that lap back, and he'll have some chance to rebound, but it's going to be a tough situation. And what I'm watching too right now, Sam, Brandon Bowie, all of a sudden back to 5th. I watched a few laps. That 54 looks super loose up front. I don't know if, starting up front this run here kind of caught him off guard with the, the pace being a little bit higher, where, farther back in the field, sometimes you get held back a little bit. You don't really get to use your car's true potential at the beginning. You overwork those tires like Bowie did here. He may be in trouble right now, as he's going to try to gather this 54 back up and try to go back forward, as Michael Hayes and Shane Parrish have stayed battling for 6th and 7th.
He started getting loose, but I'm curious if maybe strategy call might be here. I was looking at the laps we have left, Zach, and how long we've been out on track. We did have caution that enabled these drivers to stretch a little bit further on fuel, but fuel pit stops are around the corner. And looking at the numbers of when you're going to have to pit, the field might have to find a way to save a little bit of fuel to stretch it out to the numbers that they're looking for.
They very well could have to, stretch out just a little bit. I think we're going to be plenty good when it comes to fuel here. They're 21 laps into this run, of course. I would say they could probably go another 6-7 laps here to really stretch this run out, and then you're getting into the territory where we're talking about almost a 20 lap to go run here in the next 4 laps. So if you can go another 4, you can definitely make it to the end of this race. The person I do wonder about making it is Jeremiah Stutzman. He pitted with 30 laps to go. I just don't see an opportunity for that 22 to be able to stretch that much fuel.
As we see here, this is Buick's different times that he has found himself going into the pits one time here tonight, all the way back on lap 25 of this race. Some drivers did pit on this lap, though. Cameron King, Michael Skimia, drivers that enter pit row. They're going to be falling all the way back outside of the top 25. Skimia is actually going to be falling back to third, and Buick's going to be into pit road for himself, locking it down. A little bit of puff of smoke after the line. He's got to hope that he did not get caught speeding, and it looks like he's good. No black flag for the 54. Its pit stops are underway here tonight for some of our front runners. That's going to be our first of those inside of our top 10. Question is, who else will be joining the next lap? Or is everyone else going to think about maybe going a few more laps extra?
Very possible we could see that happen, and it looks like St. Quarter got into the wall there off of 1 that last time around too. So let's see when the 06, the 12, the 98, when these drivers start to flinch, because now they've had a top 5 car come down. You're going to definitely be considering your chances, and especially from this point on right here, you should be plenty good to make it on fuel. We'll just have to see when do they flinch. I think you don't want to come too early, because you really put yourself in a sticky situation. If the caution does come out, you're going to have older tires than the rest of the field. But at the same time, the undercut can be very, very powerful here, where right now we're running about a second off our fastest times.
Zach, extra time in pit road. I don't know if there's an issue or maybe it's just a strategy call, but it might be a night over for Brandon Bowie, who is yet to leave his pit box. He's been out there over a minute, and this race might be over for the 54. It's now down to the dogfight of Brandon 6, Andrew St. Cour, and Jamie Horn, and Brandon Fetterplace. Where will they line up as we find ourselves with 23 laps to go in pit road? Busy further on back, but up front, some drivers are calling they're going into pit road. Jonathan Smith, one of our bigger movers of the night, he's thinking about pit stops, and here comes St. Cour into pit road.
St. Cour will be the first one of the top 2 to come down. Looks like Better Place will continue on. Michael Hayes, Shane Parrish, all these drivers continuing right on. But I tell you what, they don't want to wait too long, because Brandon 6 out front, very, very quick. 53 out front, where a lot of drivers are running 8, 6s, and 8s. So he's a couple tenths faster than the field right now. This 06 looking strong. I wouldn't be surprised to see him stretch it out as far as he can go, because he's just had such a pace advantage at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some of the other drivers. They're around a second to a second and a half slower than their fastest time. 6 just as 1 second slower than his fastest time of the night, and that fastest lap is almost a half a second faster than everyone else. 6 is on a different level here tonight, as the 06 finally going to be pulling it into pit road. Horn, as well as Brandon Fetterplace, going to be staying out for an extra lap. They need some type of an advantage, and it looks like they want better tires for the longer run.
And it looks like 6 will not wait too long. Wow, he's going to be followed in by a group of them. Looks like Shane Parrish is going to follow in the 06 machine here, and we'll see where Brandon 6 comes out in relationship to the 12 machine at Andrew St. Cour, because it's going to be, a pit road where you can gain a lot on entry, and a pit road where you can gain a lot on the exit too, because you have to take that access road. So it's always interesting to see how drivers take that access and entry road.
And looking back at some drivers having issues, Nicholas Atwood on lap 50 got into the outside wall on a bad angle, broke the toe length, had to be towed to pit road. And also driver driving into pit road for a pit stop, Christopher Leftwich, black flag speeding. He's got a 40-second hold before he can take off as Horn's heading into pit road. Also looking like Michael Hayes staying out. It's going to be Fetter Place for another lap. A few more are going to be joining in with Horn and others.
Pit road, definitely a busy place. Fetter Place continues on as he's holding on to that top spot. Gary Clune, of course, staying out here. Adam Gardner, Eric Warman, Kevin Thompson, sorry, still out there. We'll see when Kevin Thompson, I'm really interested to see when he's going to come down. I think he doesn't, well, he's that probably got a little bit spooked from the entry of pit road last time. Probably going to be focusing on that brake bias and getting that exactly right. But we'll see how this all shakes out as pit stops for the final time tonight are happening right before our eyes. I wouldn't be surprised if you're Fetter Place, you're coming down this time because this is 27 laps into the run. I would only imagine he's got 1 to 2 laps left.
Fetter Place, Gary Clune, they're going to have to pit again, as well as Christopher Simon and Richard Leclerc are going to be having to make their stop. Staying out a little bit longer could be Adam Gardner, as well as Eric Warman, as those drivers topped off on fuel under our last caution 19 laps ago. So not expecting to see a few of these drivers staying out, but shockingly, Gary Clune does stay out. He wants to push it even further for the 45.
That he does. Gary Clune doing a good job here, making the fuel last a little bit longer than anybody out there. So it looks like him, Christopher Simon, are one of the drivers really only to take it 28, along with, it looks like they're the only ones to take it about that 28 marker. So it's definitely interesting to see them stretch it, but I do not think you're going to have much fuel than this. And the problem for him is he's got a car right to his inside here. Daniel Wilkerson, hopefully that 45 is going to let him clear so he can try to get down the pit road. But I can confirm Brandon Six did come out in front of Andrew St. Clair with that 1 lap fresher tires. So it is on for the race lead.
They're within 0.3 of one another. They're going to continue to fight on. How does Clune have more fuel? He stays out for another lap for the 45. He must have been on a huge save mode under all those pacing moments. Again, we did have a caution in between the last time where we saw the 45 pit to now. So maybe during that moment, he decided, I'm going to save some more fuel. Another driver caught, though, with trouble. Black flag for Justin McMahon. He's going to be in pit road for quite a while.
Tough break for Justin McMahon there. And yeah, like you said, Sam, forgot about those pace laps that they had to after that other caution. So with the Joe McKnight caution, that will definitely have a good bit of saving allowed for Gary Clune. So maybe this time he'll be down. If he goes another lap, that would be super impressive. And that actually bodes well for the likes of maybe Jeremiah Stutzman to try to make it to the end of this race. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But will Clune pull down this time? Yes, he will. 29 laps it is.
29 laps, and another driver that was still out there for 29 laps was Christopher Simon, who also will pull into pit road to join the light. Says, seeing a driver, I think who might have ran out of fuel or is very close to running out of fuel, was the 17 of Richard Leclerc, who's running very slow in front of McMahon, who's got his black flag penalty, but now gift the lead to Eric Warman, Adam Gardner, and also Kevin Thompson. These drivers pitted under our last caution 22 laps ago, so they didn't have the graces of a pace laps to try to save fuel, to go stretch a little bit further. They're in the window. They're going to have to pit in the next 4 laps or so.
And that they will. And if we do get a caution right now, you would think, man, this would be a huge benefit probably for him. But personally, it would not be the biggest of a benefit for him because, you know, a lot of the drivers who've already pitted, they would probably just stay out. You lose a lot of track position from this. So for Kevin Thompson, Adam Gardner, Eric Warman, it looks like Warman will come down this time. So Gardner now going to get handed the lead. Kevin Thompson right on the back bumper of his teammate of Adam Gardner. If you're Kevin Thompson, you've been about 0.3 quicker than those two ahead of you. He'll maybe try to get this pass done, and I imagine he'll be coming soon because the longer he waits to come down pit road, the more the gap for him to catch up to drivers and make up those spots that he lost from that early mistake.
More drivers having troubles. Mike Leftwich, who was one of those drivers that were staying out longer than everyone else, caught with a black flag. He's got a 40-second hold that he's about to be taking off from, leaving us with just a few drivers still needing to make a pit stop here tonight. Adam Gardner, Kevin Thompson still out on track trying to work as one. Brandon Six, though, and Andrew St. Clair looking at the pace, the laps that are being put down right now. it really does look like St. Croix is in a better spot, but it looks to be a little bit of a dust-up coming out of turn number 2. A little bit of a slide for the 06-6. Got loose for a quick moment, giving up time. Now pulled along. It's going to be the 8 machine of Leftwich, who also brings in St. Croix. The battle's on for what potentially will become the lead once the pit cycle concludes.
Oh man, this is definitely on now. Sam St. Croix has set him up. He's gotten here, and will he be able to use a little bit of help from the 8 machine of Leftwich, who again makes a little bit of a mistake there. That opens up the door now for the 06, and this is really shaking up the battle for what will be the lead when everybody finally hits pit road for that final time. And old St. Croix going to make contact with the 8 machine of Leftwich there as he tried to get to the outside of the 06.
Try to get a little bit fancy with the positioning to go for a pass onto the outside of turn 1, but the middle was just not calling. Going to be staying to the inside is Shell. Now it's going to be watching how 6 can try to pull away. Still waiting for Thompson and Gardner to make their pit stops to call it a night. One driver that will add to those that have called it an evening, Nicholas Atwood, is done with his race. He joins Tony Martin, Joe McKnight, and Trevor McLaughlin that are out of this race. Still getting service done is Brandon Bowie, who still we have not gotten clarification on why his race is over, and Mark Dumont, who still gets service done from the explosion of Joe McKnight. But the battling what should become the lead, 6. St. Croix was that mistake of St. Croix trying to go for a 3-wide pass going to be what cost him a chance to win here tonight. I know Zach for the 12, he was seeing a loss of opportunities because he knows once the long run really hits, that's when 6's speed is at its max. But I think that move might have been a little bit too gutsy and might have hurt all the chances for the 12 to win here tonight.
It could be it could be what he goes back and looks at and says, man, if I just made a little bit of a different decision there to maybe time this out differently. But I think, like you said, he worries about that 06's machine to really open up the gap as the run goes on. That really seems like what Brandon 6 has been done all night long, is just be very, very strong on the run as it continues. And tonight, he's really showing with his debut that he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. St. Croix, though, giving him everything he's worth.
As Leclerc going to be over the radio saying, I'll give you the inside. Staying high as a 17 through turn 1. St. Croix able to get slot through as well. So gifted those positions is going to be these top 2 drivers. Kevin Thompson, Gardner still yet to pit, but at this rate they're going, they might run down the 6 of Thompson and Adam Gardner, who are extremely off the pace, trying to save fuel to go as far as they can. Banking on a caution is the only way that they're going to be able to stay in a position to maybe fight for a decent finish. But into pit road is going to be those top 2 of Thompson and Gardner. They just could not stretch it out any further. It's now going to be gifting the lead over to Brandon 6 and Andrew St. Croix. They're going to be the 2 to duel it out. Who is going to win the race of the opener at the Brickyard 180 here tonight?
It's going to be quite the battle, I think. And I mean, 6 has been strongest on the long run. He's starting to open that gap back up. But all it takes is one mental error, and it's very easy to do around the yard of bricks. This track is so technical. Now catching Eric Anderson in this 06 machine, he's going to have to clear this 43 if he doesn't want to get held up too bad. Brandon 6, great job off of 2. Now he's going to set his sights to try to open that gap up that little bit more. But the battle for 3rd is on even. Jamie Horn, he's got Fetter Place all over him, and Fetter Place with a lap fresher tires, that 34 could be in position to get a podium.
Brandon Fetterplace, what a night that he could have, from hitting the pit wall under our first pit stops to now battling for a podium finish. Also want to give kudos to Michael Hayes, who at moments looked like he just wasn't a factor at all here tonight, and he was just going to salvage his way with a top 10 finish. But don't even look too far behind them, running in 6th place. The numbers, you don't like the way they're lined up, but Shane Parrish is starting to try to roll down and catch up to these guys.
That he is. We could have a 4-way battle right here between these guys for that last and final podium position. This could be quite the show, and especially if Horn and Better Place get to battling very hard. If they can't, figure things out, their squabble soon, and Hayes will be there, and the next thing you know, Shane Parrish will be right in the mix. And you also got to give a shout to Brian Dixon in 03. You see him in the background there. That was the blue car getting a little sideways off of 2. He's had quite the show the night for his debut race, up to the 7th position from starting 11th. Just had a quiet and nice and solid run.
Gotta give kudos to almost everyone that's inside of our top 10. It's been a fabulous race for almost all of them. Everyone that's outside of the top 20, though, they could wish that this race was over, but it's not going to be over quite yet. 11 laps to go. Going to be 10 once 6 crosses the line as he's done. And now it's down to the shootout. How is lap traffic going to influence this race? It looks like it's going to hurt Saint-Cour as he loses even more ground. It's over a half a second, and just like that, Saint-Cour went from please hold off the leader to why did you have to hold me back? And the 12's chances, that might have been the last snuff of it, unless some of the few drivers ahead of Brandon 6 can somehow stop him. But there's not a lot of traffic in front of this 06 machine. It is clean air. It's going to be just based off a true speed if Saint-Cour wants this win.
And I just watched Saint-Cour get through 3. That car just a little bit tight through 3 that time, lost a good chunk of time. I mean, just through 3 and 4, he went from being a second back to over a second in a quarter of a second. So it just showed you lost a whole quarter of a second through 2 corners there. Now no longer has that sniff of the draft on the 06. It's going to be a tough sight for the 12 now, because I think it's going to be either a race if we get a caution flag, or just a race to keep second place and bring it home from this point, because it looks like Better Place has been able to get around Jamie Horn. That moves him up the 3rd as Horn starting to fall back a little bit into the struggles, and maybe Michael Hayes has your shot.
And some other great battles that are happening on course is the battling going on for 9th, 10th, and 11th position, as some of your highest gains of where you qualified here tonight. It's Gary Clune, it's Bill Gentry, excuse me, that is really been making a lot of the movements so far. Jonathan Smith has also been moving forward, Tyler Millette and Kevin Powell, but it's Gary Clune that's leading this group. The 45 is trying to make sure that he stays inside of the top 10, but you've got yourself 5 drivers in line, all want to finish inside of the top 10, have a great start for the season. And top of that list, Cameron King in 13th. He's at the tail end of this group. He wants redemption after all of the woes of hitting the outside wall. But Gary Clune wants redemption with all of the potential chances of great finishes he had last season.
That's for sure. Clune, after that Rookie of the Year award, he wanted to come back last season and have quite the run. Just didn't work out for him. Tonight, though, a great start for his season right now, running in the 9th position. But it looks like Millette has got around in the 94, gotten around that 23 of Jonathan Smith to move himself up to 11th. And Bill Gentry, he's going to be trying to follow through there. But him and Jonathan Smith, both on the oldest set of tires around them, other than Cameron King with about 17 laps on his tires. So just showing you that these guys got a mixed bag when it comes to the strategy. I'd expect Millette and Clune to slowly start to work their way away from this group.
As they continue to race on for the 10th place position, Tyler Millette going to be trying his best to defend, but up front, 7 laps to go. The battle for the lead, it is now 2 seconds between 6 and Saint-Cour. Brandon 6 just wants this race to stay clean and green. The battle for 3rd is a half a second. The battle for 5th is about a second difference. The closest battles on track is the grouping for that 10th place position. But Zach, Brandon 6, this league we saw in the past, it was all about Jonathan Jennings. When he would show up, he was the dominator, the driver that would win week in and week out. We saw a little bit of variety last season because we saw Jennings not race every race, and it was more of twisted axle dominating each race. I think this season is going to be the true test of all the veterans. Some of the newcomers that have shown up, everyone has to be on top of their game week in and week out, as Brandon 6, the rookie, has proven he might now be the new top dog of the league entering our season 2 of 2024.
What a statement right here. 2 seconds now, almost up to 2.5 for Brandon 6. If he goes out here and wins this race like it looks like he will do, it's going to be quite the statement for sure. And such a tight technical racetrack like this, usually if you're good at Indianapolis, it just bodes well for your overall driving skills, in my opinion. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this 06 in victory lane a couple more times this season, but already just showing right out the gate, and he's going to be one force to be reckoned with for sure. And when we get back to some of more normal tracks, it'll be interesting to see the likes of Kevin Thompson, who had his mistakes tonight. He's back in 16th, and really just slowly making up for time lost with that mistake. What will he be able to do on a more normal track where we get everything back lined up? But there's a caution out.
Oh no, trouble strikes Cameron King and Bill Gentry going to be involved on the front stretch. Drivers are trying to avoid one another. And in a blink of an eye, this race ain't over yet. And overtime could be calling for us.
That it could be, and man, oh man, Bill Gentry seems like he made a major mistake off the exit of 4 there. And that's what took out him in the 92. Cameron King, who was drifting there in that shot there. We get to see that go down the back straightaway here. And you're going to see King's going to get to the inside here with the help of the draft. Here he's going to look to the inside, heading down into turn 3. Going to get to this inside of the 4 and going to have a little bit of a drift off the exit there of the corner. But then as they head off into turn number 4, this is where I think it's spicy. The 92 sends it on the bottom of the 4. Too much speed on exit, washes up into the wall, and then into the 92. The way that car bounced off the wall was similar to the 51. And oh no, and there's
that's
other
Stephen Bonomo and Kevin Thompson, and then get into one another after that initial contact. Oh, it was just 2 separate incidences. And once again, here is the wreck that could be sending us to overtime. Just trying to go for everything, and it was looking like such a clean race. And Steve Bonomo locks it down. He would have been okay, but it was that second correction that Thompson just could not predict and runs right into the 9.
That it was. That is a tough break right there to see. Is big incident there, and continuing the trend of what we've seen last season with, it looks like what will be maybe, I don't know if we'll get overtime. I don't possibly think we will. It's close.
They just went to lap 5. These bigger tracks, they try to push a little bit quicker on the pace laps and try to get you back to racing as soon as possible. But with the amount of lap cars that we had, trying to catch the pace car, it's going to be right on the edge of either we see the pace car lights go off this time when they cross the line, we will be inside a regulation green, white, checkered. But if they lights do not go off on the pace car when they cross the line here, we will be heading to overtime, and it's all on the pace car lights. Are we going to overtime or not is going to be the question. And Zach, those lights look to be still on. We're going to overtime.
That it seems to be that way, and interesting call by here, everybody too. I think they all had, at least most of them had, 1 set of tires left. A lot of them were going to stay out, and I think no surprise for a lot of people up front, but I'm surprised farther back more others did not come down pit road to get tires put on the race car, because man, we could have seen the big times being put down from them fresher tires.
Well, I believe based off if they are sticking with the rules they had last season, they only had 1 overtime attempt. It will be confirmed once they cross the line on the overtime attempt rules, but I believe it was just 1 overtime attempt, so it makes sense. Keep the track position, because if you get a quick caution and you weren't able to gain any spots, this race could end under yellow. But if we stay green, first driver to watch out for, it's got to be Michael Hayes in the 48. He is the first driver to take 4 tires and fuel. They'll be in 13th position. The 48 is going to try to make a heroic charge through this field if we could stay green through this overtime attempt.
Cool. That would be quite the charge for him, because he gave up a top 5 spot for that. So he definitely is risking it, so to say. Michael Hayes willing to roll the dice here. And I mean, this is a 2.5 mile racetrack. If we do get all, both laps in, that's 5 miles. That's a lot of time for you to make up some ground. Now, it is tougher since this is a 1-groove racetrack, but if you have fresher tires, you can go around the outside of people here very easily also. So the door is still open for opportunities. The one thing I watch for up front too is you got Feder Place on the freshest tires of this grouping up here, and he was running a little bit quicker even than Brandon 6 on those last few laps of that run. So maybe 6 was dropping down the pace just a little bit just to make sure he brought it home. But we'll see. Does Feder Place have enough to fire off and battle with this group here? So we'll see how it works out. Looks like Brandon 6 is going to take the bottom on this restart, though, as the pace car lights should go out this time, and we'll get confirmation on if we will have more than 1. Nope, it's going to be 1 green, white checkers here.
Well, this is it. Lights are off. We are going this time by. We are officially in overtime. This will be the last restart. This race will either conclude under yellow flag conditions, or it will finish with our checkers and wreckers at the end. This race could be 2 laps to go and we go green. If we get a caution under our first lap, we will end this race under yellow. But if we take the last lap, we take the white flag, this race becomes official, and it's about who crosses the line first. Zach, for Brandon 6, he looks so good up front. Better Place was starting to find that little bit of extra speed there late. But man, if we could stay green to that white flag, I got a good feeling. Watch out for Hayes. He might be making some bold moves that can help him out.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, if anything, he's going to fire off here about a half a second, maybe even a full second quicker than anybody. So this should be very, very interesting. So I'll tell you what, if I was everybody out there viewing right now, get ready to watch that leaderboard because it could be shaking up a ton here. If I'm Brandon 6, though, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would just be thinking about getting the best restart, getting clear, because if they do battle, that opens up the opportunities for fresher tires even more. If he can get clear in that 06 machine, he should be able to scamper away and maybe build enough a gap.
Now, if we look at how the race was earlier with Stutzman's run, this first lap, you can hold back those with fresh tires. It's the second lap where that speed will kick in. Let's find out. Last restart of the night. Who will win the opener for the season 2 of 2024 for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series? It's Brandon 6, Andrew St. Cyr. Here we go, the Brickyard 180 overtime. Last restart. This will finish tonight. And 6 ready to take off into the restart zone. Gets a good launch. Gonna get some help from Brandon Fetterplace. Fetterplace gonna be right on that back bumper, and the duel is on for second. St. Cyr's gotta back out of it. He has to get a good launch through turn 1, but 6 gotta clear. The sail 6 is gone. He's gonna try to pull away as the rest of the field try to stay green to the white flag.
And they stay side by side for that second spot there. St. Cyr just trying to hold on, but contact's made. Woo! Checking up the 12, and he's going to lose a ton of spots, but now Fetterplace going forward. Jamie Horn up the 3rd, St. Cyr down the 5th, and he might even have some trouble from behind.
Jay Parrish trying to also close in the gap the best that he can. Those drivers that got fresh rubber have not been able to advance forward. They're still stuck in 13th place. That new leader going to be Kevin Thompson further on back, but the battling for 3rd, 4th, and 5th going to be right on top of one another. As up front, it is all 6 off the exit of turn 4. It looks to be clear. We will stay green to the white flag. This race is official, and it's Brandon 6 pulling away over half a second. No one's even close. This is up to the 06 to hit the perfect marks to win this race.
How much does he have to worry? I don't think much, because the gap is there. He's been strong all night long. The 06, Brandon 6, has been fabulous as he's flirting with his extra on the exit of the corner there. As you see St. Cyr, it's all imploding for him. He's down to 13th and dropping quickly.
Dropping quickly in the rest of the field that's further on back. That's where the fresh rubber lies. But up front, he had dominated, grabbed the pole, was the fastest during practice, and really only had a couple contenders show that maybe they could compete. But at the end of the night, they all fell away, and it's all going to be the 06 of Brandon 6 taking victory at the Brickyard 180 here tonight.
What a job by Brandon there, driving his way up to the win. Brandon Fetterplace in 2nd, so it's at Brandon 1-2. Jamie Horn, a great showing in 3rd. Shane Parrish is going to rebound for 4th, and Kevin Powell in the 5th position. What a run from him. It was a heck of a run to be in there.
Incredible to see. And those that took fresh rubber, it's actual Michael Skimia taking 2 that was able to move up to 11th position. All the drivers that took tires, they got to be thinking to themselves, was it even worth it at the end of the day? But those that are up front, your top 3, they are going to enjoy this one. The rookie of Brandon 6 going to take the victory here tonight. He'll enjoy it. Fetter Place is going to be graced with the racing gods and Jamie Horn. This is the type of a run you love to see after the way that he started last season. I think the 98, he is ready to compete, not just for 4th, but for a championship here tonight. Some of the drivers get a little bit antsy as they blocked pit road entry, but the drivers got the most fun is the 06 getting to burn it down. here tonight. For us up at the booth, though, we will step away. When we come back, we're going to talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver. That being your winner in the 06 of Brandon 6, Brandon Fetterplace, Jamie Horn, and another driver. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series post-race show. It was the opener at Indianapolis for the Brickyard 180, and we find ourselves heading to victory lane to talk to the driver that was the fastest during practice, grabbed the pole, and dominated here tonight. We got Brandon 6 with us. Brandon, what a run for yourself. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. You find yourself in the victory lane in such a dominant fashion. Were you expecting that, joining this series and being a rookie entering your opening race?
Definitely not. There's a lot of fast guys in this league, and I definitely had to fight for it there. I know in the first run, Shane was definitely fast early on, and I think he had an issue on pit road at one point and got stuck in the back, and I definitely had to fight off Andrew there for a while, but it seemed like he had short run pace, but not the long run pace. So I just kind of had to hang in there and kind of do my thing.
That's kind of where I was going to go, Brandon. When you talked about being behind Shane there, we saw you were able to, really keep up right there with them, and you guys were almost starting to battle again right before that caution finally did come out. I mean, how important was the clean air, or do you think you had enough to even get around that 66 if he didn't have his issues?
Yeah, I think I had enough on the long run. I think he had me covered on the short run. I was just a little bit too loose to kind of fire off. But as the run kind of went on, I kind of tightened up, and then I was starting to make a run at Shane again, which I was like, all right. But to be honest, it was early in the race. I was kind of just chilling behind him, biding my time, and I was getting ready for green flag pit stops, and then all of a sudden we had that caution. So that kind of changed everything up at that point.
It certainly did change things up. Certainly the late cautions to make things a little bit more interesting heading into overtime. Brennan, heading into overtime with the knowledge of drivers, a majority staying out, were there any drivers that you felt like were going to be a threat to come at you there, or did you feel like it was a pretty set sail once you knew you were clear entering turn one?
Uh, to be honest, the only thing I was worried about once that caution came out was, do I pit? And if I don't, how many come down? And I was actually shocked. More stayed out than I was expecting. Um, but I figured I might be able to hold them off. But to be honest, I was a little nervous when it first fired off. It fired off really tight, a lot tighter than I was expecting. So it did. My car didn't really like the old tires there at the end, but was able to make it work. And I figured once I got past the restart, should be fine. But you just never know.
Well, you certainly did make it work. You worked it all the way to victory lane. Congratulations on this win, Brandon. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just gotta thank my team, Boo Esports, all the hard work we put into making this work out, and honestly, I gotta thank the family, you guys for putting on the broadcast, and everyone who puts on this league.
Thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That is your winner here tonight for the debut of the 2024 Season 2 race, the opener at the Brickyard 180. Your winner, Brandon 6 in the 06. Enjoy this one, Brandon, and good luck next week heading to Nashville Super Speedway.
Yep, thank you guys.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to a driver who had a lot more of an interesting night, it felt like, at moments, as he had to climb his way after some pit road shenanigans. Brandon Fetterplace coming away second in the 34. Brandon, you came away with second place here tonight, but after the early pit stop issues, was that something you were expecting? Because we saw a lot of drivers struggling on pit entry on that first pit stop, and it seemed like from our end, visibly, you hit that wall. Were you shocked that you didn't get any damage from that wall contact?
Yeah, that was an eye-opening experience. I thought I was directly behind the car in front of me, and well, that fender sticks out a little bit further than I thought it did. So, yeah, I was actually really happy. I keyed up and asked if I had any damage, and I didn't. They said no. So, hey, I got away with a lucky one. I just tried to stay from hitting the right side the rest of the race.
Definitely did a good job at keeping it clean from that point on, Brandon. But I tell you what, man, it was just a lot of work for you tonight. You qualified back in ninth. It seemed like you were in a ton of battles there. It looked like if we were going to stay green, most likely we're going to be in that third position. But it did a great job on that last restart. I mean, take us through the battle of the race, because man, you definitely had to make up the spots.
Yeah, that was pretty tough. Being stuck back in traffic in these cars, especially here, just was really tough. I mean, it was so hard to pass. I mean, you relied on the draft so much that if, you guys broke even going on the backstretch, going into the corner, it was up to whoever broke latest. And even then, if you if the guy broke earlier than you and got a better run out, you guys were side by side again. So, it was I couldn't wait to get away from everyone. Honestly, yeah. So it was really nice. Then the green white checkered there. That was that was exciting. Andrew St. Clair, I have a lot of respect for him. We've raced pretty well together. I wasn't. I went back and I looked, and I didn't think I came up on him. I seen that we made, or I felt the contact. I felt him bounce off my passenger side, but you know, I hate that that happened. I would have liked to have raced him for second. I feel like he still had second, honestly, but I was going to do everything I could to kind of sneak it away from him. But
I mean, overall, you come away with second place. And Brandon, if we look at the way you joined the league last season, we had a sense you're going to be a threat entering into this second season of the year. What's your real confidence level entering this season with a performance like this just in race one?
well, now I'm excited because I'm actually in the points. So I actually have something to race for. Um, last season I joined late, so really it was just to kind of prove to myself that I had what it took to be here. Now that I have that understanding and I have a little bit of confidence, being in the points, hey, we'll see. I'm pretty excited for this season.
And we're excited to see how you perform as well. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Billy Esports, the team for this year. Brendan Six and Brendan Bowie and Brian Dixon. We're all in chat and we all, sharing information back and forth during the race. It helps out a lot. So thanks to those guys. Thanks to y'all for the broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch it. Thanks to the admins who are going to put on a fantastic season. I can't wait to do. And I guess I'll talk to y'all next week.
We hope to be talking with you. That will be your second place finisher here tonight in the 34 machine, Brandon Fetter Place. And can't wait to see how you're going to perform next week. Good luck, Brandon, at that of Nashville Super Speedway.
Thank you very much.
As we move from second position, we go down to third to a driver that really has impressed us in the way that he's grown over last season to this season, joins a new team, and he comes away third. Probably should have talked to you last week, Jamie, as you were running so well, but we get to talk to you this week when it really matters on points. Jamie, how are you feeling coming away third with such a great performance of being inside of the top five? Felt like all night long.
It was a good start to the season. I'm happy to come away with a third on the first race. It's a good points night for sure.
Definitely a great points night, Jamie. I'll tell you that much. When it's a full length season like this, no playoffs included, it definitely is important to start off strong, and you definitely did that here tonight, Indy. Take us through. Really last season we saw you really develop at the end of the last season. Really got that long run pace dialed in. Do you think that it's even carried over this season and it's going to continue to just grow from here?
I'm hoping so. I feel like I've, like you said, grown from last season. Especially at the end, I was starting to figure it out better and really work a good bit over the off season and think I'm gonna have a good season. I hope.
We're hoping for that is for you as well. And these upcoming four races before we have our break going to be at Nashville Super Speedway, Pocono, Rockingham, and then Daytona. Are any four of those races kind of sticking out to you as a race you're excited to be racing at?
Probably Pocono. I love Pocono. I like Daytona, but I have the worst luck at Super Speedway, so somehow I'll get caught up in something. So, but Pocono probably the one that I'm really looking forward to going to.
We're excited to see how you perform at Pocono from our point of view as well. Well, Jamie, again, congratulations on a great performance here tonight. Can't wait to see you continue forward. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
And then give a shout out to my team at ESR and thank them for everything that they do to help and all the practice we do each week to better ourselves. And thanks to you guys for putting on awesome broadcasts each week. I love going back watching it after a race. And Hunter Simpson with SSR Designs. If you need a good paint, reach out to him. He does a great job. And last but not least, my mom. She watches every week, so shout out to her.
Well, that'll be your third place finisher here tonight in the 98 machine of Jamie Horn. Congratulations on this finish and good luck next week at Nashville Super Speedway.
Thank you.
As we move from third place, our spotlight driver, going to be the pious mover of the night, was able to move up 20 positions from where they qualified and was one of the funner drivers to watch as he worked through the field. We have Jonathan Smith with us. Jonathan, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on a top 10 finish in 8th place for the 23 machine. How are you feeling after tonight? Because it looked like you were in the mix of battles from start to finish.
Feels pretty good. I did not expect a top 10 finish at all. I mean, I was coming in here happy for a top 20 finish. I actually told my guys I was in a chat with, I was like, boys, we get out here with a top 20. I'd be very happy with that. So just, what is it, over promise and under deliver, or I guess under promise and over deliver, I guess. That's what we did tonight.
Definitely is a good night for yourself, Jonathan, man. Congrats on that, bringing home that 8th place finish and being our biggest mover of the night. We head to Nashville Super Speedway, a completely different track, concrete surface. How do you feel heading into that racetrack?
I haven't practiced on that track much with the Cup cars. I know we race there, Xfinity cars. I like that track. It's got got to get in a rhythm, get a good feel for it. But I don't know, I like it. Just got to get a good setup and actually practice a little bit more before it comes up. So
I mean, Jonathan, like you said, you were going to be happy with the top 20 finish, but you come away with the top 10 finish. Does this change your goals, maybe, of how you want to race the rest of the season with a run like you had here tonight?
I feel like I can normally run at least in the top 20 pretty easily, or consistently, I should say. For the Cup Series, top 10 is more my goal for the most part. But I don't like Indianapolis. The setups I've had this week are just not been good to us. Luckily, I had a guy spotting for me tonight, Baker Knapp, who gave me some great adjustments on that first pit stop. I mean, he told me it was going to dramatically change the car, and it did. And that's kind of where we took off at. So if I can get him spotting for me a little bit more, it might help me out a lot.
Well, it certainly does help when you have friends helping you in the background, but there might be other people that you want to shout out, and the floor is now yours for any of them.
Yeah, thank you guys for the broadcast. For starters, I want to thank Daniel and everybody else that puts on the league. This is my third season, I think, in this league. It's been one of the best leagues I've ever been in. Everybody's usually pretty clean, consistent driving, a really good competition here. I want to thank my wife and our newborn who has just started crying right now. She turns 5 weeks old tomorrow. She's cried for 5 weeks straight. So thank her and my wife for taking care of that while I do this. So
Well, we're happy that you're able to race and perform like you did here tonight, Jonathan. And enjoy this one. Good luck with the baby, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week at Nashville.
all right, thank you guys.
That's going to again be your 8th place finisher of Jonathan Smith, highest mover up 20 positions. There's a couple of drivers I think that wished maybe they finished a little bit higher for themselves, but ultimately it was this machine, the 06, the Brandon 6, that comes away with the win for the opener of the 2024 Season 2 at the Brickyard 180. We take a look at our unofficial results. The 06 was dominant up front. Like I said, was fastest in practice, won qualifying, got the pole in qualifying, and then ultimately won the race. But all the other drivers, what storylines to share? Brandon Fetter plays hits the wall going into pit road and still comes away second here tonight. Jamie Horn up front all night long, finding that consistency. Shane Parrish, after his mistake of falling to 15th after that early pit stop, climbs up to 4th. Kevin Powell, he was having his slow march up. He's one of the bigger movers, up 15 positions from where he started. He'll finish 5th. Brian Dixon, one of our rookies, also up to 6th place. Gary Kloon, top 10 finish for himself. Jonathan Smith, top 10 finish. Tyler Millette, who's been having troubles late in races last season, he comes away with a top 10 finish. And Eric Warman, he'll take away 10th as well.
What a crazy finish to tonight. As we look through the rest of the board, of course, defending champion Kevin Thompson rebounds to 12th. So great rebound for him after making that mistake, getting on the pit road, spinning out, bringing out the first caution of the evening here. Then you look at Michael Hayes, first guy that of that top 5 to really pit. He cannot make it farther back than 14th. So tough break for Michael Hayes there. Also going to have Andrew St. Clair back in 19th after his green-white checker really just having it all go wrong for him. So tough break for Andrew St. Clair finishing in 19th. And as you look through the rest of these guys, there was some tough nights. You see Adam Thompson, he was having such a great run. He's going to finish back in 28th after getting caught up on that pit road entry incident. And then, of course, Brandon Bowie back here in 31st, drove from 36 all the way to 3rd, into 2nd at one point, and then something must have come up. He just had to hit pit road with 14 to go and did not ever come back at that point. So wild night here at Doghouse to start off the season, but Indianapolis, it provided quite the show for us here.
It certainly did. From the explosion of Joe McKnight hitting that inside wall in the back stretch that sent him back into the field, to seeing a rookie get into victory lane. So many different storylines, and they will continue on next week as we head to Nashville Super Speedway to test out the concrete driving abilities of this field. It's going to be a fun one. Don't want to miss it. That will be next Thursday. Us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, though, we started this week 4 races throughout the week. We're back to a full schedule. Monday through Thursday, we're giving you racing coverage, and next week it continues on. ISRC Truck Series is going to be road course racing at Road America on Monday night. Tuesday, we go to Daytona for the Challenger Racing League for race number 3. Darlington calls for the end of the round of 16 for the WSSR Cup Series. We're right back here next Thursday for the Nashville Super Speedway race number 2. Can some of these top drivers that finished here tonight continue with the consistency, or can someone else get some redemption? We'll have to find out next week. But for tonight, Zach, any final thoughts before we call it an evening?
Well, first off, congrats to Brandon 6. What a great drive from him. I watched his lap times in practice and knew immediately he was going to be a factor in tonight's finish, and definitely proved that to be the case from what I've watched here tonight. So great start for him. tough start for our drivers who finished first and second in points. So we'll see how Kevin Thompson and Andrew St. Cor can come back from their mistakes here tonight. But I tell you what, this is setting up to be quite a season here back at Doghouse. Nashville, going to be another race where, concrete madness is going to be again, and it's going to be quite the showing. So you're definitely not going to miss out here next week, folks.
Absolutely not. Also, want to say our final thank you to the sponsors that help out the Doghouse Cup Series, being the title sponsor of Shoney's, as well as True Patriot Apparel and Gifts, SSR Designs, Butt Kicker, and Nap Daddy Racing Designs. Thank you to assisting the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series and all of the drivers that raced here tonight. But for this evening, we want to say thank you to all those that watched with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else at the Freaky Fast Broadcasting crew, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button if you want to let us know. That's the best way to let us know that you're enjoying the show, or commenting down below. And if you want to watch some of our other great coverage throughout the week, again, Monday through Thursday, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification button to be notified when we go live. Again, thank you for watching tonight's coverage of the Brickyard 180. Brandon Six, the rookie, gets into victory lane, but will he continue on with this dominance next week at Nashville Super Speedway? You'll have to tune in next Thursday night, but if you can't wait to watch more racing action, don't worry. We've got you covered from Monday through Thursday. We will see you on Monday night. That was when we will see road course action for the ISRC Truck Series. We'll see you then for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.